Hello, my name is Amanda, and today is my July and August wrap-up. So I'm doing a 2-month wrap-up because in July I did end up filming that wrap-up, but by the time I was starting to edit it, I didn't like the footage that I had, and I was already 2 weeks into August by the time I was back home from vacation, so I decided to just combine it with August, because in August I only read one book, which will be my rant part of this video, which will be at the end. But let's get started into this list because I did read quite a lot of books. So the first book I want to mention that I did start to read is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. I got about 50% through the book before I had stopped reading to concentrate on other books and never ended up picking up. I'm including this in the wrap-up because I will be continuing to read this in September, but it is something that I did start in July, so I thought it was worth mentioning because I really like this and I'm definitely still gonna give it like 5 stars. But I did start this book in July, I just didn't end up finishing it. The next book I started to read is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson, and I read this back in the beginning of July, back when I was also reading Percy Jackson, but I stopped reading it to put it into my booktubeathon, which I did end up finishing, I believe, the day before the last day in July. That was hard to think. I did really enjoy it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, and I'm definitely going to be picking up the next novel. It is, I wouldn't say it's for everyone. If you're used to reading YA, I wouldn't recommend this because it has a lot of, I don't know how to say this, a lot of triggering scenes and topics, but I overall did enjoy it. I didn't enjoy the political part of this book too much, and by political I mean like the newspaper political side of things, but the overall investigation on the disappearance of Harriet, and just that overall side of the story, really my favorite. But yeah, really enjoyed it. The next book I picked up is A Thousand Beginnings and Endings by a bunch of different authors, but edited by Ellen O and Elsie Chapman. This is retellings and folklore of Asian myths and legends, so it's very good. I did not finish it. I'm actually on the last story. I read this for the 7 and 7 readathon. I didn't end up completing that readathon, but I got to the last story, which I'll probably finish this month, but I put it down because I basically read this in one day and I was kind of getting tired with reading all of these different short stories and retellings, but I will definitely be finishing it this month. I do consider it completed since I literally have like 10 pages to this book, but thoroughly enjoyed it. I think I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 stars because I did enjoy all the stories, I just didn't love all the stories. The first manga on my list is Your Lie in April Volume 1. I picked this up, I believe I picked this up for the Get Graphic readathon that I did. I did like 3 readathons in July, so I apologize. But I really enjoyed it. I see why everyone likes it. This is only the first volume, so you don't get a lot of, I guess, nitty-gritty of the story and like why everyone enjoys it, but you get introduced to all these characters. I'm gonna start watching the anime and loving it just as much as everyone does. It is a 5 out of... Did I give it 5 or 4? I think I gave it a 4, but I'm not sure. It's on my Goodreads, but I'll put the actual rating on the screen if I get it wrong, but I think I gave it a 4 out of 5. The next book I picked up was also for the 7 and 7 readathon, and that is Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian. This is a YA fantasy, I guess. I didn't think I was gonna enjoy it as much as I did, but I really did. A lot of people didn't, from what I read on Goodreads, because they say okay, they're used to reading this kind of story, but maybe because I haven't read too much or of like YA fantasy like this. I did enjoy it. I really did. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and I'm fully invested in this world. I'm definitely gonna be picking up the next novel, which I believe at this point in time, it says it's coming out in April 2019, so I do have a while, but I really like this. I believe this is also the UK paperback cover, because I got it from Book Depository, because I do like the other cover, but this is okay. It's kind of cool. This is about a girl, Theodosa, I think I'm saying that right, who, when she was 6, her mom was murdered in front of her, and then she was kind of like held captive or as a slave to the new king of the place that took over where she lived, and it follows her story. It's really hard to explain because it has been a little bit while and I don't want to spoil too much by revealing stuff, but I do recommend people checking it out. I don't think people will enjoy it as much as I did, but if you do, yay! The next book I picked up was also for the 7 and 7 readathon, and that is Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. This is the Puffin and Bloom edition. I was gonna get like this huge box set, but I thought this would be good in case I didn't enjoy the story, but spoiler, I really liked it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it so much more I thought I would. I was a little iffy about the writing because obviously this was written like way early in the 1900s, I believe 1920s. I just want to make sure. It was first published in 1908, so it's definitely early 1900s, but I really did enjoy it. I was really attached to Anne and all the other characters, and I'm definitely going to be reading more of this series. And I think this was a good time to read it too because it's summer and, you know, Anne is she's literally the sun in human form. Like, she's just so out there and excited and has such a great imagination, and I just love her. So I definitely recommend anyone pick up this classic. It's very, very beautiful. But yeah, loved it. I loved it so much. The next manga I picked up is Ranma 1.5 by Rumiko Takahashi, and although there is a bookmark, I did read volume 1, which was my goal. This is the 2-in-1 omnibus, which means it has volume 1 and 2, and my goal was just to read volume 1, which I did. This is where volume 2 starts. This was I don't know if I gave it a 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5. I think I gave it a 5 out of 5 because this is such a great story. I'm rereading this. I first read it a long time ago when I was a kid in French, and now I'm rereading it in English, and I love this. I love the characters. I love Renma. I love all of them. It brings me back all the nostalgic feelings of when I was a kid first reading the story, so love this a lot. The next manga I picked up is School Rumble Volume 1 by Jin Kobayashi. This is a series that when I was younger wasn't really popular but was mentioned a lot. Now it's not really mentioned. But this is a comedy series that follows this girl whose name is Tenma. And she has a crush on a boy, and she's trying to get his attention and to ask him out, but there's also a delinquent student who has a crush on Tenma, who is trying to get her attention and get to confess to her. So it's a very comedy spin on her love story. I gave it a 3 out of 5 because although this is an old manga and I feel like the jokes are repetitive, there are a couple funny things. There was only one that I had a problem with, because I was like, why would you make fun of a creep, a pedophile basically, a rapist in a forest, but whatever. I did really enjoy the art style. I did still enjoy the story. I'm definitely going to be continuing it, but I'm hoping that it's not the same joke all the time, but I also have a sense that it will be. But I don't know, but I'm giving it a chance. Still enjoyed this, other than that one story. The next few books on my list are actually graphic novels and manga, so I apologize if you're not interested, but I'll try to make this short and quick. But the next manga I picked up is Blood Lad, which is this huge freaking form of volume 1. I don't think they're as big in Japan, but I love this story. I gave it 5 out of 5. It is so great. I don't know why I didn't continue it further than this, but I love all the characters, and this is only volume 1, and I love all the characters. There's nothing more I can say. This follows Stas, the vampire, who has, there's districts in this underworld type where demons and monsters live, and he is in charge of one of the bigger districts, and he's a very powerful vampire, and then one day a human girl whose name is... what is her name? Okay, they don't give her name in this. Does she ever give her name? I don't know. But a human girl ends up in this underworld, and she just happens to be Japanese, and he's kind of obsessed with Japanese culture, so he kind of devotes to protect her, and then things go awry from there, and it is the greatest. I'm gonna be continuing this. I love this so much. The next manga follows the same supernatural element, which is Noragami Volume 1. It is about Yato, who is a homeless god, and he's trying to build his empire by taking on these little jobs, but ends up stumbling into, what is her name? Very bad with names, but Hiyori, I believe her name is. He stumbles across Hiyori, and then their paths twine together, and this great thing happens, and it is so good. Again, I don't know why I didn't pick up Volume 2 right after, but I'm enjoying this. I'm definitely going to be continuing this for sure. I have a bunch of novels for this series, and I will be watching the anime, so definitely pick it up. So I think I gave it 5 out of 5, but I will correct myself on the screen if that's not true. Alright, we're almost done, but the next novel I have is Natsume's Book of Friends Volume 2, which is a series I really love. I think I gave this 4 or 5, again, I don't know, but it follows Natsume, who can see demons, and he helps some of the demons get their names back by his grandmother, who kind of like took their names so that she could enslave them, but then never use them. And it's kind of his adventure, as some demons are really nice, some of them are really evil, and some odd characters show up, and it's such a great novel. I love Nyanko Sensei, because like I literally where is he? I have a figure of him here. I have a plush. I literally carry, this is a broken one, but I bought a new one. I literally carry my bus pass in Nyanko Sensei, so I love this series. There's really not much to say, but I love this series. Alright, so the next one is actually a graphic novel, and that is Moonstruck Volume 1. This I picked up for the 7 and 7 readathon, I believe, and I love this. Okay, first off, the colors in this book, it is all colors, is just amazing. I love the amount of color in this. I also love the art. I love everything about this. The story is okay. I still love it, but it's not like the best story that I've read so far, but I think it's like a good take on different things, and I already have a favorite character, which I'm going to show you in a little bit if I can find my queen. Where's my queen? Where is she? Where's my queen? Come on, come on, come on. Come on, where's my queen? Where's my queen? Where's my queen? Where's she? There's my queen! She is my favorite character. I don't know her name, because I'm trash. I can't remember people's names. What's her name? Cass. Or Julie. No, her name is Cass, and I love her. She's my favorite character. But we follow Julie, who is, okay, this world is full of different monsters. But, like, happy world. It's a happy life. And they just get into a bunch of crazy stuff. It's hard to explain. I just recommend picking it up. It's very short, but beautiful. And, oh yeah, it's a lesbian relationship, so yay! And the last manga, I want to say, but it's stylized, kind of like a graphic novel, but it's not. And I need to cover parts of this book, because it is my lesbian experience with loneliness, and there are 2 naked ladies on the front, which I can't show. But this is not so much a, like, raunchy type of manga, but it follows a author, ironically this author, who kind of delves into some mental problems that she has, and just like how she goes through life, and, you know, being in her 20s and realizing that she's a lesbian and and all this. It is so great. I didn't think I would connect with this book so much. Obviously there's some topics I can't relate too much, like the whole lesbian side, because I've never been with a woman, but her anxiety, her, you know, sort of depression, and she deals with binge eating disorder, which is something I deal with, so, which was very new. I didn't expect any type of writing to have that kind of exposure on that, and I just love this book. There is another volume to this, and there's also another book that she wrote called My Solo Exchange Diary, which has 2 volumes. I believe volume 2 is coming out soon, which I will definitely be picking it up. But I'm in love, first of all, with the simplicity of the art, and just the struggles that this artist went through. I feel for her, and I just want to hug her, but she, you know, now she's happy, and it's great. I'm trying to find a scene that isn't too revealing, but as you can see, it's just very, like, it's simple because it's black and white, but it also has lots of hints of pink, which I think makes it very unique. It's not something I've definitely seen before. Sorry, I was looking at the book. I actually read this in ebook form, but I definitely had to pick it up in physical form, because that's how much I loved it. I needed a physical, and I will be buying more of the physical of these books. It's just, I loved it. Now, moving on to the ebook forms of books. There's not many, but there are a couple that I did read in ebook. Actually, there's only 2. I'm looking at my list correctly, there's only 2 ebook forms. So, the first ebook was actually an anthology of different lesbian stories placed in high school. It is called Claire, and it is a, it's hard to explain what it is, because every story is very different, and I mean, like, it's not just like just two high school girls. Sometimes it's like an adult and a high school girl, but it's like very sweet. Sometimes it has nothing to do with high school girls, but most of the stories deal with high school girls, and it's just a bunch of stories about girl love. It wasn't that great because some of the stories were kind of like, I felt they were too short. They could have put way more effort into it, or some of them I was like, was this necessary? So I did give it a 3 out of 5 stars. It was okay. I still enjoyed reading it, but it's not, I wouldn't pick it up in physical form, and I wouldn't really recommend it to anyone. I still enjoyed it for what it was, though. The last and final book I will be talking about for my July wrap-up is Lightfinder. I forget the author, I apologize. This is such a weird book to have to explain, because it follows two characters. You have Aisling and you have, I forgot the brother's name, but you follow her brother and Aisling. It's difficult to talk about this book because I read it in ebook form. The ebook form was messed up. It was really not edited well. Like, chapters would finish but not really finish. Like, you go into the next chapter and it would still continue, and sometimes it would end in the middle of the page, like a chapter, and then start within that same page another like chapter. It was weird. So I will say the editing was weird. The sentencing was weird in the ebook as well, because you would start a sentence and then it would cut off in the middle of the sentence and start a new line, but it's the same sentence. So it was really, really weird in that aspect. I didn't connect with the main girl character Aisling as much as I thought I did, because I have a cousin named Aisling, so when I found out that the main character's name was the same, I was pumped. I was like, hell yeah, I want to get behind this character. You know, Aisling is such an uncommon name, but I feel like I would, you know, I have a cousin named Aisling and I really love her, so I just felt like I would connect to her, but I didn't. It was just weird. She was confused and did stuff that I didn't think fit with her character, but I don't know if it's because the author just didn't know how to flesh out a character or just didn't know what he was doing. I did prefer the brother, but honestly, the story itself just wasn't worth it. It ends on such a weird place that you're like, how? And there is technically a book 2 coming out, except this was written, I think, back in 2014, and there is clearly no book 2 being written or being done ever. So you don't really even get a finish to the story or an explanation as to what happened. So it's hard to describe, because although I wouldn't recommend it to people, I really wouldn't recommend it because it doesn't finish. It's not necessarily like the worst that I've read, but it's definitely up there with like stories I struggled to read. I did end up reading in 2 or 3 days, which is still pretty fast compared to Serafina, which I will talk about in a little bit. But I don't know. I didn't really enjoy it. I did enjoy some parts, but not the whole story. So I think I gave it 3 out of 5. I could now put it down to a 2, but I'm gonna keep my rating at 3 because there's still some parts of the story that I enjoyed, and I still did enjoy a lot of the parts in the story. It just wasn't really well written or fleshed out, and just weird in general. So that is it for July. But I have my August book to talk about. And yes, I said book because I have one freaking book. It is Serafina. I started this in July. I started it the last day of July, so I thought I would finish it in one day. I didn't, which was fine, because I thought, hey, I have the rest of August to finish, and I had the booktubeathon at the time too to finish it. It is now September 1st, and I'm still 120 pages to the end. It has taken me over a month to read this one book, and I am not even done, and I am so done with this book. It's not bad. That's what I will say. It's not bad. The premise is promising, right? I mean, it's about dragons. You follow this girl who's half dragon, and there is this murder that happens that's in dragon fashion. So there's this whole, you know, investigation, because now the treaty between humans and dragons is under jeopardy, because I said that wrong. Under jeopardy because now there's this murder and it was on a royalty. There's this whole thing. It just sounds promising. But oh my god, I don't know if it's just not in the writing style I like, or if it's just it's too slow. I don't know. I love slow books, but this is so boring. I'm at page 323, and I will say Literally nothing happens that's exciting so far in this book. Nothing of interest. There was one part I had high hopes for, and instead of going where I thought it would go in terms of conflict after this main thing happened, I was like, oh, this is great. Maybe it'll pick up from here. It went back down. And I don't know. Now we're in a part where, like, it's kind of interesting, but I also couldn't give two shits right now because there is like 120 pages left to this book. And I don't think it's anywhere near close to where I would consider it accomplished for volume 1. I just shook the table in frustration. Like I said, it's not necessarily bad. I just have too many things that bug me about it. The writing isn't bad, but there are parts at the very beginning, especially, where I was like, what did you just write? Why? Because there are some points where it's written in, okay, it's like readable. And then there's sometimes it's like the author was trying too hard to make it like very medieval and fantasy-esque, and I was like, those words, I don't know what those words are. So I had this rant with a friend, and even she agreed. She never read this book, but she agreed. She was like, this is weirdly frustrating. I got used to the writing about 200 pages in, so let that sink in. The plot is so uninteresting at this point. I thought it would pick up, like I mentioned. It just doesn't pick up in the least to interest me. You know, I don't mind slow burning books. I really, really don't. In fact, I enjoy them. I like slow builds, and then it builds up to this place where it gets fun. I don't mind that. I don't mind that a book takes 200 pages to interest or finally get to like the interesting part, because you can build characters in this, you can do minor conflicts, things like that. But my god, there is nothing happening in this book. Like, it just... I'm not the only one. I thought I was, but I'm not the only one. So another YouTuber read it recently, and she started liking it, and then it just wasn't for her. So she wanted to like it, she didn't like it. There's a lot of people who agree with the fact that the writing or the story itself just isn't gripping, and I agree. I'm not saying it's a bad book, because I'm sure it's not. But it's not for me. And I'm really tired. I don't want to DNF this book because I've read so much of it, and I have such this angry passion about it that I do want to finish it for the sake of finishing it. But I will definitely not be picking up more. If I do pick up more, it's because I have nothing to read. But yes, it took me 1 whole month. It basically put me into a reading slump. And no hate, by the way, no hate to anyone who loves this book, no hate to the author. Like, I do think that she has potential, I just don't think that this was a story for me. Now, Rachel Hartman, who wrote this, did write another book called Test of the Road, which is in the same world as Seraphina, but it follows a different character. I probably will be picking it up. I'm just not interested in Seraphina's story, and honestly, not interested in Seraphina. I don't really like her. Not that I don't like her, I do enjoy her, but she's not, I don't have the energy to put more energy into her story. I just can't. So, that's enough ranting from me, because I can go on about this book. But I didn't finish the book, so I can't give you a rating, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 stars. Because it's taken me so damn long and put me in a reading slump. This book. Woo, this book! But that is my wrap up. It is getting dark. If you agree with me on Seraphina, please let me know. But if you like any of the other books that I mentioned, please let me know. Because I love these books, and I have no one to talk to them. I have no one to talk to about these books. And I really want to. I'm gonna end this video here because I'm in a ranting mood, but I really just want to calm down. So I'm gonna do that. And it's exceptionally hot. It's really hot. So I'm gonna end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to subscribe, you can do so down below. But if not, I understand. And I hope you guys have a great September, because September is finally here and I can finally read some great books that isn't Seraphina. Like Percy Jackson, finally finished that godforsaken book. I hope you have a great September, and I will potentially see you in my next video. Sorry for this rambling but I had some thoughts.